What up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another episode of Soh At Home. In this week's episode, we're going to be doing a bolster pillow. I have been meaning to make this DIY for a while now. Since we finished the master bedroom refresh in episode 1, I have just been obsessed with my new Romans from Blinds to Go, and they were so kind to send me some extra fabric so that I could bring that embroidery detail further into the room by making this bolster pillow for our king size bed. I think it adds this very bespoke custom look to the bedroom that just really elevates it. So I'm really happy with the pillow, as you can see it on the bed now, but I wanted to show you guys how I made it because it's super easy. And again, I think it adds a little element of luxury to a bedroom, especially your master bedroom. You kind of want that there. So yeah, super easy. Let's get into it. It is time. I've had this fabric sitting in my office for 2 months now. Blinds to Go sent it to me. It's so gorgeous and beautiful, and I'm really excited to just have a little detail of it continue across the bed. I think it's gonna be so pretty. Before starting this project, I first needed to decide on what size of bolster pillow I wanted. I took the fabric up to my room, laid it out on my bed, and tried to envision it. I tested various sizes with my measuring tape and ended up landing on 40 inches. It felt like a good size for a bolster pillow given the 2 other layers of pillows already going on, and I thought a 7-inch diameter felt nice and big while still feeling very well proportioned. There were some additional materials I was missing, like decorative cord piping, an extra long invisible zipper in the right color, and a kit to make some fabric covered buttons, so I made a quick stop on Queen before heading to my friend's studio. Since I didn't have a pillow insert, I decided to make one. Thankfully, I had some liner fabric and polyfill left over from my last upholstery DIY that I was able to just use that to create an insert quickly. To calculate the pattern size for my insert, I first needed to start with the 2 end pieces. I simply added 1 inch to the finished diameter for seam allowance, so 7 became 8. Next, for the body, you want to add 2 inches to the width, and for the length, you calculate that by multiplying the finished radius by pi, and then add 1 inch for seam allowance, so 23. So that body pattern is 42 by 23 in size. With all my insert pillow pieces cut out, I could then begin to sew them together, making sure to leave a small hole in the body so I could get that stuffing in later. Once stuffed, I could then just hand stitch that hole closed. With the insert done, I could move on to the cover. Since the fabric had a pattern repeating on it, I wanted to center that fabric properly. To do so, I folded that fabric over and pinned it in place before measuring 20.5 inches from that fold. This would give me enough seam allowance to achieve that finished 40-inch width I was after. For the length, I used that same 23-inch measurement as before. For the 2 end pieces, since I wanted a pleated look, instead of using the same circular pattern I used for the insert, I just cut 2 6-inch strips that were the same length as the body, so 23 inches, just to close the ends. If you don't want to do the tucks or gathering detail, feel free to skip this step and just use the same pattern as before to cut out 2 flat pieces. With these 3 pieces cut out, I could then begin to sew, starting with my invisible zipper. To ensure things lined up, you can pin that zipper into position as a guide like I did before sewing. With the invisible zipper in place, you can then close up the rest of the seam before pressing the seam allowance open and adding your cording detail. Feel free to skip this part if you don't want this extra detail. I sandwiched the flange on my cord in between my bolster body and end pieces and sewed it into the seam allowance. Once it's all right side out, this is what it should look like. Flipping it back inside out, you can then begin placing your pleats as you like, pinning them into place. Alternatively, you can just do a gathering stitch and gather the area evenly if you don't want to find pleats. Using an elastic band, you can tie off the remaining fabric all together, making sure things are centered before stitching all layers together. You ideally want to close this hole. It should be so well tied off that you can later remove the elastic and it will all stay in place. Once those holes were closed, I used the kits I bought earlier to make some quick fabric covered buttons, which I then attached to each end of the bolster pillow to finish it off really nicely. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Soh At Home. If you have any questions, you can always leave those in the comment section below. I have also linked the blog post for this episode in the description, so if you want a little bit more meat on the bones, you can always go check that out. Other than that, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye.